This is Chris Hansen.
Chad doing Rip City Radio here.
This is Jamie Hudson.
This is TJ Houshmandzadeh.
And I'm going to let y'all know something.
You're listening to
It Just Makes Sense.
It Just Makes Sense.
We are sports. We are nostalgia. We are pop culture. And we're funny sometimes.
I think overall we're just a good time.
They thought we couldn't do it. But guess what?
We're back.
Podcasts are free, and we can do whatever the hell we want.
Yeah.
We never knew what we were doing in the first place.
Yeah, that is a good point.
Welcome to our impoverished podcast.
America's #1 big man certified podcast. Christmas.
Like we're fighting the Christmas season so much.
Why can't we stick to Christmas?
After the loss last night, I think they're the scariest team in the league. This team's going to fix whatever's happening. They're all boneheaded shit.
You don't want the Bills to come into your house if you're in the playoffs. You don't want to play them anywhere, in my opinion. I think they're trending in the right way at the right time.
And who are
Speaking of
to
losing,
call people out on losing bets, okay? We suck at betting.
And remember, don't be afraid to fade yourself.
Who invented the acai bowl?
probably a guy who didn't want you to ever pronounce it correctly.
The acai bowl?
Yeah, like how long did it take you to learn that it was acai and not acai or any other iteration of that?
Not long, because I live in Portland.
I mean, it essentially just said, if you have to ask, you're poor, type of a thing, right? One of those deals.
You know, another thing I heard is you are poor if your couch is touching a wall.
Oh. But, like, what if you have multiple couches and one doesn't touch the wall?
Then that's an extra flex.
Okay, cool. Cool.
Basically, they're saying, I don't know if it was a podcast, but it was like, if your couch is touching a wall, you're poor, because that means you don't have enough space. And they're like saying you either have a small place or you live in an apartment.
Yeah, well, I was just kind of looking around, and I'm seeing that we are touching every square inch of a wall. So
My couch touches a wall.
welcome to our impoverished podcast.
I'm poor.
It just makes
honestly,
sense.
I'm thinking of all the rich people I know, and their couches don't touch walls.
Yeah,
No, because the Selwood house, Jesse's couch was against the wall.
that's true. But they also have, like, a guest house, too. So they have, like, literally two houses on that
So there would
property.
be like
And I
things to
bet
make
you
up for
anything in this new house, then no couches are going to be touching walls.
I can verify that the one couch that I saw, it did not touch a wall.
Yeah, at
their new
at
house.
my brother's house. No wall
This
touching.
little
The hips
theory
no
might
wall
not be that
touching.
accurate, because Jordan is not a rich person. His couch doesn't touch a wall.
There you go. Debunked. Mythbusters. Boom.
Myth busted.
We've got you.
We busted.
On our Christmas episode, we busted. Which takes us to, I was wanting to start the episode by singing, like, blue balls Christmas. But we already got that out of our system at our Christmas episode, or our Christmas party this past weekend, boys.
We did.
Yeah. A little karaoke.
Christmas karaoke mixed in with some normal karaoke.
Right, yeah. And then there
How many
was,
Christmas songs did we actually do?
Probably like a dozen.
yeah, probably the first half. The one that Lindsay and I sang, Band-Aid, where it was like about, do people in Africa know if it's Christmas at all? But they're like singing it super happy, but it's like super condescending. They basically, like,
I think it's supposed to be like a sad song.
right, but it's so upbeat. It's a banger for how sad it is. And so this is kind of where I'm going with it. Is that any time you get celebrities teaming up together for anything, something's going bad. You know, this song, probably not their best work, although banger. They're still playing it today, but people aren't really internalizing
Who's
really
saying
what
it?
it means. Like Bono and every other celebrity. Like this was some sort of like financial relief effort. I don't know if it was like, Ebola or some other like
AIDS.
Yeah, AIDS, like just like ravaging.
It would be like the
the-
Michael Jackson one where they did "We Are the World."
Yeah.
Or
Very similar.
Right, and then like remember when COVID hit and what did all those celebrities sing?
Oh,
It was so brutal.
imagine
bro.
all the people.
Oh God, you know, like
that was. You look up cringy in the dictionary, and it's that video.
Hurricane Katrina, Kanye West, George Bush hates black people. Like, oh,
I think that's a little different than what we're
that
talking
was,
about.
but still, like they teamed
yeah, you
up.
jumped a
No.
completely different category
But
there.
still, like I mean, like a bunch of people
Yeah,
like
that was like a
team up
telethon.
together. It was a telethon, but it was a bunch of celebrities who were teaming up to
Yeah.
support people in need, and it just you can't get this many celebrities together and expect things to go well.
Gosh.
And so
I think the best part of that whole thing with Kanye West was that it was Mike Myers just standing up there next to him.
Just so awkward.
Just wide-eyed, like,
Like,
what
did
the
he just
fuck
say
is
this?
going on right now?
that might be if you were to ask Mike Myers at the end of his life, what is like top 5 most shocking things that ever happened to you? Guaranteed that's on there. It's just like nothing
mean-
that you could do.
Yeah.
Nothing you can do in that instance. But so we definitely had some good karaoke going. Before we got to karaoke, we sat on the floor and ate some.
Well, you did.
I did, and I am not a person who can be on a floor for a very long time. I've got the joints, but
Can't-
that food at
you
Mirror
ate
Catch was
flexible.
so good. And then we got belly danced. And is it just me? And I feel like I might end up editing this out. But like when someone comes out for a belly dance, are you immediately triggered into thinking that something more is going to happen because of how we've been conditioned at strip clubs?
No.
Really?
No.
No. Okay, so just me. I'm the creep. Great.
Yeah. You just sexualize every woman you see.
I mean, like, we were literally putting money in her waistband.
I didn't do that.
Okay, my wife did. She loved it.
Okay, just because you pay somebody.
They're dancing for you. I'm just kind of thinking that they're going to come up and start heavy breathing in my ear is all.
No.
You'd like that,
Or
wouldn't you?
I might, or offer you a back scratch.
I'd like that.
Yeah, so excuse me for not really being used to the experience of a belly dance versus like usually where
That's a
things
you
end
thing.
up.
How many strip clubs have you been to?
A handful,
life?
but that's the first time I've ever had belly dancing. So
I asked Miguel about this. This is kind of a weird off tangent. We don't really have to go deep into it. But do you think we're gonna go if we go to Mexico for Miguel's bachelor party? Do you think that we would go to a strip club?
Yeah,
Is there a part of you that feels that it might be a little dangerous?
yes, actually,
Yeah, I said I am not sure. Like if we were in the US, it's all like a 99.9% chance we would go to one. But in Mexico it's just you don't know what the vibe is like. There's
Yeah.
a language barrier. You don't know if there's, a lookout in there and says, "Hey, there's a group of American guys fucking hammered in here," like,
Yeah.
and then we get robbed when we leave. So it's just there's a lot of unknowns
I don't
with
know
an
if I wanna
international strip club.
Take
So
that chance.
there is a lot of room for things to go bad and us to get in trouble, especially with that many people. So
Yeah.
there are certain worries that we do have to worry about.
I mean,
back to Christmas.
I'm not for sure, but I do like the idea that Braxton is so against strip clubs that he is planting a seed over a year away.
Of how we might get
just
murdered.
like, guys, we might die, so
You know-
just
Yeah,
think about
we,
it.
We are going
I-
to be murdered.
There's a part of me that because I really don't like strip clubs, and that means that I don't go to them. There is kind of a small going for this one bachelor party will be a little bit fun. I'm not totally against it, is what I'm
Sure.
saying. I sincerely am concerned about maybe getting robbed.
I think I don't
I think
know
that's
if it's,
legit.
I don't know if it's exactly the same, but I would view it in the same kind of category for me. Is how you view strip clubs would be like how I am with drugs early on. It's like if I'm gonna try, this is not something I do, but I would do it for like a bachelor party. Like I would try something for like a bachelor party.
Yeah, similar. And I know it's going to be like it's not like I'm going to be having a bad time. It's just not what I would prefer to do.
Sure.
Yeah, you don't like sexualizing women like Pete.
At that point,
True.
at that
Exactly.
point, you've got 25 people. You pool enough money together to bring them to the house, which is going to be a gigantic house. Bring them to you.
That's just as dangerous.
That's more dangerous.
You think it's more dangerous
Yeah,
because then
because
they
they
can
know
come
where
back?
we're-
Pete,
We
have you
live.
ever experienced
I
bringing
know.
girls to a house for a party?
No.
I have. It is way
More
more
sketch.
dangerous
Then how come
than
you-
going to a strip club.
You suggest it literally every time we're somewhere.
Because I live on the edge.
You're just testing the waters a little
I
bit,
don't-
just
I don't-
dipping that
This
toe
isn't a
in.
bachelor party, but this is back in college. We got a girl on Craigslist. And that girl walked into our apartment. There's 3 of us with a handgun in her purse. We had asked her to leave the purse by the door, and she was dropped off by a white Honda Civic. That Honda Civic parked across the street the whole time.
Dang.
It's the guy that's gonna come after us if she doesn't get her money. Like that, all of that happened that 3 hours she was there.
sketch?
That's in the U.S.
Well, you know what's not sketch is coming up is
Christmas?
Christmas. Christmas is not sketch.
How'd we get away from Christmas?
Welcome to our Christmas episode of It Just Makes Sense. And what's also not sketch is the live show that we also have coming up on January 10th, Wednesday at 6 p.m. I was gifted this by Braxton today. It is a DVD from Tommy Hypnochan. And
He's the instructor.
he is the instructor. It is the Urban Expression Project Level 1, the top-rated brand for urban training video. It is Level 1 is Basic Popping, Arms and Knees Hitting Technique and Drills Edition. So, for those of you who are just dying to see me learn how to dance, I am going to do a blind dance tutorial to this. And we are going to be playing my dance version at the live show just to see how it goes. with
Possibly a
Mr.
live
Tommy
performance?
Hypnochan. We'll see how it goes.
I'm
I mean, I need you guys to do
I'm
like a little slow cap,
cringing
maybe
at the
me
thought
around.
of this already.
Yeah.
Every part, every bone in me is
Yeah.
cringing right now.
What
It's
would
going to be great.
What would be more cringe is the Imagine by all the celebrities or me dancing?
Possibly you.
But yeah, because I
It's
was going to
gotta
say, I was like,
possibly.
there's nothing going to be racially insensitive about what I do. But then I was thinking, hold on.
It's all going to be racially insensitive.
Yeah, like I feel
Yeah.
it's the exact opposite. It would be extremely racial because I feel like your popping and locking would be like, you
It
know,
would be so
demonstrative.
bad.
swinging at Rihanna or something.
Yeah.
It's going to be so bad, it's racist.
Why has it got to be Rihanna?
Chris Brown.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I wanted
Chris,
you to spell
Chris
that
Brown
one out.
has
I wanted
been
you to
known to pop and lock.
And drop it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Absolutely.
the it being a human being. God,
okay.
we should not.
Christmas.
We should absolutely not.
It's like we're fighting the Christmas season so much.
Why can't we stick to Christmas?
Yeah.
So, what's your favorite Christmas movie? I'm joking.
Oh, okay. The reason I was like, I will tell you. It is funny that Miguel claims to never have like a favorite Christmas movie. This season, people are very much up in arms over the fact that they have now discovered that Christmas Vacation, the Chevy Chase classic,
Is a fraud.
that was actually filmed during like spring or summertime in Los Angeles, and obviously,
Why does that matter?
Because they're creating the allure that they were in like snowy Chicago.
Do you think every Christmas movie was
No,
filmed during
but I
Christmas
think-
when it's
but
actually
people don't
snowing?
want to feel like they've been lied to. It ruins their Christmas spirit.
That has
That
got to
is
be the
dumbest
stupidest shit I've
fucking
ever
shit
heard.
I've ever heard. Look up every Christmas movie. I guarantee they were all filmed in fucking Burbank with
Right.
fake snow. And
I am curious though. How did they do the Christmas tree scene?
I mean, like maybe not 100%.
They went up
of
to
it.
Big Bear.
but like the house
Yeah.
and all those things were there. It is. I don't know if like this is a movie I've gotten into, the Christmas Vacation movie. It wasn't one of my kid movies, but now that I'm getting older and I'm a dad and a homeowner, all this stuff, I keep hearing Lindsay laughing harder and harder at this movie as if it's just like hitting her to her core at this point, because apparently I am Clark Griswold, at least in the Christmas version, because of all the lights I have on my house, just like how particular I need to be about certain things.
Is she going to start calling you Sparky?
She calls me accidental kid names all the time because of our son, but yeah.
Hey,
If
Bubba.
you're picking, if you're picking a character from a Christmas movie, it is not Clark from Christmas Vacation. You're the Polar Express kid.
No, I'm not the nerd. I
Yeah,
am
you
not
Peter,
the nerd from
yeah,
the
that
Polar
looks
Express
exactly
kid.
like you.
There's
It does
no
look like
way.
you as a child.
Peter,
Maybe,
I'm gonna
There's-
find a
how
photo.
about this?
Right.
That was you as a child, and you've grown up to be Clark.
No, he
Griswold.
still looks like him. Are you kidding me?
I'm cousin Eddie.
Your cousin Eddie? Oh yeah, the shitter's full.
Yeah.
I can definitely.
That there's
see
an RV.
that there. Clark
Clark.
is an RV. No, and so that kid. What's interesting is that kid has since grown up to become a young adult, and
Crazy how that happens.
okay, that might
That's
be me.
not you today.
God. All right, let's do a little side by side
That is
there.
all the way you.
That is you.
He now is in his 20s or early 30s.
That cartoon.
That kid, yeah. That kid, right? 30? Well, when did this movie
This
come out?
animated character is
That
now
animated character
20?
is now.
Well, no,
an
okay,
adult.
you guys know where I'm going with this. They literally transpose these guys' faces onto an animated thing. It's creepy as hell. I don't like
Okay.
the movie because it's too realistic, because it's like literally those people's faces. So this kid, who still looks like that as an adult, by the way,
How old's Lilo from Lilo and Stitch?
fuck off, is recreating. He has his like one of his viral speeches where he's like talking to the other kid and he's like holding it up and like duplicating the whole thing. So now,
And that
he,
looks
as
like
an
you.
adult, does that actually look like me?
Kinda.
Listen to his voice. It's you.
Hey, you, yeah, you. You know what kind of train this is? Train, you know what kind of train this is? Do ya?
Of course. It's a magic train.
It's creepy.
We're going to the North Pole.
I know it's a magic train. Actually, it's a Baldwin 284 S3 class Berkshire type steam locomotive built in 1931 at the Baldwin steam locomotive. It weighs.
There. Okay. So it just kind of stopped.
Even
there.
how he
So-
is you. That's probably you as a kid.
was not me. But yeah, Polar Express, while how well it is from like creating the North Pole and all that, creepy ass movie. It is dark. Like, why are they showing my 4-year-old kid this at preschool? It's terrifying.
How is it dark? What happens?
It's really dark. Like, it's just kind of scary. Like, the elves are scary. Everything's like really like tense all the time.
I didn't.
Are you not uncomfortable watching this movie?
No.
It's an uncomfortable movie.
If you view this as dark,
I have-
how do you
this
view,
is
how
the
do you how do you view the Grinch?
Also dark.
But these are two classic Christmas movies that no one else has a problem
Yeah.
with.
How
It's
I don't get that.
Okay, well, there's a couple of scenes, especially like when the train is going to derail or when they're in like the North Pole and then like there's all of these like they're like out of
Maybe I
control.
need to
maybe
rewatch this.
I
but-
watched it and,
And
the
the
whole time I was
Grinch-
just like, how is this happy?
In the Grinch, there's like some like kind of sad parts, but it's not dark.
I mean, Whoville is sweet, but
So is his little man cave
yeah,
on the top of Mount
and
Crumpet.
Max.
You're getting this mixed up.
Never mind.
You're
no
getting
food.
Polar Express mixed up with Fast Five when Agent O'Connor
family.
derailed the train and they stole the cars.
So Rotten Tomatoes has the worst Christmas movies out, based off of the percentages. Number 10, it has the top 20. I don't know why it has the top 22, but I think maybe because they wanted Home Alone 3 to be in there as number 22. But the top 10 at number 10 was Santa Claus 3: Escape of Claus. That one was kind of weird. That one had Martin Short in there.
That
with
was a
Tim
weird
Allen.
one.
Jingle All the Way has a 20% at number 9.
Is that with Terminator?
A Merry
Good
Friggin'
one.
Christmas at 14%. Black Christmas at in 2006 at 14%. An American Carol. Cool. That one had 12%. Mixed Nuts there with Steve Martin at number 5. Surviving Christmas at number 4 with 8%.
Wait, what's Surviving Christmas? Who was in it?
Ben Affleck, Jason Gandolfini, Christina Applegate.
Tony Soprano's
Yeah.
in it.
And I said Jason. It's James Gandolfini, my bad, and
Yeah.
Catherine O'Hara.
I assumed.
Number 3 is Deck the Halls with Danny DeVito and Matthew Broderick. Christmas with the Cranks at number
love
2
that movie.
has a 5% on Rotten
What?
Tomatoes.
People don't know shit.
And then
That's
it's
a good one.
0%. A film from 2010 at number 1 is The Nutcracker.
Christmas with the
Nutcracker
Cranks
sucks. You guys ever seen that ballet? Trash.
No, yeah,
Don't
like
waste your
there's
time.
just there's no reason to.
I think I might have told you guys this, but did you guys know that when I was acting in my younger years and trying out for musicals and plays, I would use a monologue from The Grinch Who Stole Christmas
Which one?
when he does his schedule.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
I just can't.
yeah,
No.
yeah. It was good times.
Well, we were bopping to some Christmas songs earlier tonight. I was talking about whether or not we think that Kelly Clarkson's Underneath the Tree could actually possibly overtake Mariah Carey's.
That's just impossible.
Yeah, it's probably impossible. But I don't know if you guys watched the Thanksgiving Day parade this year.
Never do.
Well, I highly encourage you to do it so that you don't miss Cher revealing her new Christmas song.
God, I'm
In-
glad I missed that.
In only Cher's way that she can. In only a Cher way that she can do it.
This is from the Stranger Things.
It does kind of sound like it. It'll make you want to fist pump in the air.
Very E EDM.
The queen of auto-tune.
I don't feel Christmas when I hear this. I'm thinking of Molly, some shots, Gorge.
Gorge.
Nothing more, nothing less. I got one request. DJ play Christmas song. I wanna be dancing all night long. It's cold outside, but it's warm.
This is how I envision pop locking and dropping it going.
Yeah. Not shocking.
DJ play a Christmas song.
Like that.
That's Wii boxing. It's not pop, lock, and drop it. All right.
Yeah, there you go.
This
Not
is-
bad.
Not bad. I'll take
Not
not
bad.
bad.
Not
All
bad as
right.
a song. I didn't hear how.
But then I danced with it.
Christmas song.
DJ play.
Oh shit!
So good.
Don't ever bring up the fact that anyone's gonna overtake Mariah Carey. That girl is still
Don't.
doing Christmas concerts today.
That woman makes so much money off
Like-
of that one song. It's incredible.
Her Christmas songs, not just All I Want for Christmas, is their top hits every single year.
That's true. I'm sorry, Queen Mariah. My apologies. My apologies. So, but that's where we're at.
I guess
Um,
one of the stand-up comedians we saw recently was talking about how she goes to that Mariah Carey Christmas concert every year, and it's gotten worse every single year.
Like
Where-
she's just got no heart.
I mean, she's
not putting anything
she's
into
not the same person. Like last concert they went to, she was 2 hours late,
Damn, really?
and she showed up and she was like uncoordinated and just
Yeah, just
lip syncing.
disheveled.
Didn't sound good.
I feel like Mariah's gotten into the booze.
Mariah's gotten into something, and it's just
The Vicodin.
yeah, it
And
just
the booze.
it's almost like she's leaning into the hot messness of things.
Well, Mariah, get it together.
Sorry, now the algorithm's gonna come at us for
Yeah.
Mariah hate.
We take it
don't
back.
Need that. We don't need that. But also, I mean, if we're talking about people who don't not have it anymore, because that's a bad segue. But prayers up to my girl Celine Dion, because she's apparently doing not doing so hot these days with her stiff person syndrome that she was diagnosed
Yeah,
with last
people
year.
were making. There was a video going around where she was in an interview.
Yeah.
And the guy was in the middle of asking her a question, and the caption, it was like a meme making fun of her. It was like, "This is what my ADD is doing while I'm having a conversation with other people." And it was a guy in the middle of asking her a question, and she just goes, "Do you believe in love after love?"
Well, that's not exactly what we're talking about, but
What?
I'm talking Celine.
okay, yeah, but like stiff person disease or syndrome doesn't make
Wait,
you sing.
I am-
Do you believe?
No,
in life?
First of all,
I'm not matching
wanna
it to
see
the
that clip.
disease.
She's freaking weird.
She,
Yeah.
but
Second
it was
of
just
all,
her
is
reaction
stiff
to
person's
that.
disease a thing?
Yes, it's a autoimmune disease that affects only 1 in a million or so. So they don't know a ton about this, but it basically makes it so that you don't have neurological control over your muscles, whether or not they're spasming or contracting or anything like that. So she can't sing, and she's not very mobile because her autoimmune, it's an autoimmune thing, so it's attacking her body essentially.
Ooh.
So she's not doing well.
Look up the video.
Stiff as a board, eh?
Yeah. Oh, that's rude.
If the work does dry up,
Believe in love,
you can.
I can feel something inside me say, I really don't think it's strong enough
Could be in the room. Could be in the room.
Mid-sentence.
I kind of love that.
Here's the thing about Celine, because I've seen her in concert in
yeah?
Vegas.
Oh yeah, you feel like you know her.
Yeah, and it was incredible, and I have been a Celine fan ever since I was a kid. And she has been famous since she was a kid. And I think that she just has no idea how to relate to any individual because, like, no individual around her, like, she just hasn't, like, she's had a bunch of yes people. She had a bunch of people, like, serving her, just...
Like what
She
happens.
doesn't have, like, a lot of equals in her life.
Like what happens to most child stars.
Yeah.
Like they're weird as adults because they don't know how to function
Yeah.
from the world that were used to, like, growing up in.
Then why don't they all get together and hang out?
Maybe. She told this half-hour story, or it felt like a half hour, about how she ended up in the Deadpool soundtrack. She, like, sang the main song for Deadpool 2 and spent 20 minutes, and maybe this is where I get my storytelling ability, is from Celine Dion, because it takes me forever to get to the point always, which is, like, she was talking about this letter and how she wanted to open this letter. And it was addressed from Ryan Reynolds and all this stuff. And I just go, get to the point. We only got a couple hours here. You could be singing like 4 more songs. And I didn't want to do this like Dance Monkey Dance type of a thing. Not even sure I'm allowed to say Dance Monkey Dance. But like, I kind of was like, we've spent $500 total on these tickets. I don't care about your Ryan Reynolds story. You have robbed me of 4 songs.
What was the punchline? What was the point?
That she was happy to have gotten it, and then she started singing the Deadpool song.
Sick story.
That is
was
probably
it.
where you
There
got.
was no punchline. It was just like, yeah, so he wrote me a letter, and I thought it was really flattering. Here's that song. But I was like, do you know how to connect with anyone on any level whatsoever? And that was her way of trying to tell us a very relatable story or something.
So now you know how you feel when tell
I start
stories.
telling stories. Yeah,
like
exactly.
that, like the one you just.
Like the literal one that I just told. But at least I'm self-aware. I don't know if she's self-aware.
No, she's not. My Apple Watch is telling me bedtime is coming soon, so let's wrap this
You
up.
sleepy. You are sleepy. Well, let's see. What? Oh, gosh, I just had a good segue. But we will start on talking about the NFL. Do you guys want to talk about Aaron Rodgers?
No more Christmas.
No more Christmas. The Christmas present that we all get is Aaron Rodgers not coming back, which, surprise, 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 he was like, whoa, it's not realistic for me to be back within 14 weeks or whatever. I was like, well,
No shit,
you were
buddy.
never coming back. But
What would
whatever.
be the point? It'd be stupid.
It would be very dumb. I just was like, I thought it was odd that a lot of people thought, like, if they were anywhere remotely to playoff contention, you think you would?
Maybe. It would be a small chance. But they have a good enough team that you just get healthy and you guys will look decent next season.
Will they, though? Because healthy or not, that offensive line, did you see how Zach Wilson got fucked up by the Dolphins defensive line.
It's hard.
You know the play I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's hard to measure what the little pieces of teams that are completely disheveled and have nothing to play for and judge them by how they look right now when they have nothing to play for.
Sure.
Like, you don't think this team would look completely different with Aaron Rodgers playing quarterback? They would be in the playoff hunt, I believe. They have enough weapons. They have a top 5 fucking defense in the league.
You don't think that, like, minus the Achilles, that, like, and I know that this is such a big ol', like, what if, that Aaron Rodgers would have gotten hurt at some point this season by the offensive line?
Yeah, probably.
Maybe.
Because of, not by the offensive line, but because of the offensive line. So,
They just jump him.
I mean, he just, like, took the easy way out and, like, did it himself. So,
I also feel like you have in the pros especially, you have guys that try a little bit harder when they feel like it's worth it, or they feel like it's Aaron Rodgers back there. That's a Hall of Famer. We actually have a chance, versus guys that are doing that for Zach Wilson, and they're like, what the fuck's the point?
It's kind of like, and not to, like, fully change the subject, it's kind of why if I could bet, and we probably should bet on this with, like, college football playoff, why I think that, like, Florida State is going to get boat raced, right? Because they could take this and be like, oh, let's show the world that we're so able to beat guys like Georgia. But, like, you know, Mike Norvell is saying, like, this has been the most challenging times that I've ever had as a coach, just because guys are so upset and they did everything that they could control and it still wasn't good enough. And he was like, they're still struggling with the fact that they're not in there. It's just like, it's in their head. But,
Yeah,
I don't.
but
Not to totally take this to college
that
football
point
playoff.
when you're playing outside of currently the top 4 playoffs, it's a lose-lose for Florida State. If they lose, then everyone's gonna say, you couldn't have
Told
beaten
you
a
so.
powerhouse
Yeah.
anyway. I told you so. But if they win, they're like, well, Georgia didn't play half of their team. They didn't care. They wanted to be in the playoffs. So it's like, they can't win at this point. They were fucked, and they're fucked even more now.
And again, we're talking about that mental side of things. I don't know if you guys have seen that Hard Knocks clip. I'm kind of bouncing around and, like, referencing a ton of stuff where Mike McDaniel, he's sitting there after they lose to who did they lose to most recently?
The Bills?
Was it the Bills?
No,
it
they
wasn't the
play
Bills.
this week, I think.
Yeah. Either way,
Jags?
yeah. Was it that? Whoever they lost to a couple of weeks ago, he was saying, like, hey, like, this loss is going to be the best thing that ever happened to us. And you know why? Because that's what we're going to make it, right? And it was like, it's just kind of a mindset thing. It's like, I am so happy that we lost because this is XYZ, right?
That's also an easier speech to give as a coach when you are a top team and you
suppose.
lost the game.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we have been dominating.
They lost to
We
the Titans, by the way.
stumbled across a loss. Let's make the best of it. You can't really make that speech if you're a 2-10 Panthers.
I suppose.
You know what I mean? Like, you can give
Now,
those.
2-10 Panthers.
This 10th loss is the best thing that could have happened to
Yeah.
us.
You're on the right track,
Now
Bryce.
we can turn things
Yeah,
around.
let's turn it around now that we're mathematically eliminated. Only 100 people come to our games. But yeah,
Yeah, did you see that? There was tickets to that game for like 75 cents.
45 cents. Yeah,
Yeah.
crazy. It was crazy how few people were there.
Yeah, how the stadium looked 10 minutes before kickoff. There was nobody
Yeah.
there.
I mean, gosh, if you were a Falcons fan, it would have been great. You would have gotten in for virtually free to see your favorite team lose 9-7 or whatever it was. God, I mean, it was even a crappy game, crappy weather, crappy teams.
Crap.
Crap.
And the Falcons had something to play for. How do you lose that game?
Yeah.
I know.
Well,
They needed that win to get into the playoffs.
I mean, it's just been criminal what they've done to allow Desmond Ridder to still be out there.
Yeah.
And now they're making a change in Taylor Heineke. He's going to be starting next week. So
And
Yeah.
Bijan, they got to commit to Bijan.
I know. It's almost like Arthur Smith is trying to outsmart everyone by saying, no, like, I know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to put in Bijan Robinson when everyone's, like, very clearly like,
It's almost like he's handling it like a fantasy football team.
yeah.
He's like,
the way that,
I don't have a good feeling about Bijan this week.
the way that I've handled Zach Moss all year or whatever. Yeah.
Speaking of fantasy, Miguel, I took you down big time. I'm sorry.
It takes skill to make the playoffs, which we both made.
Not
Yeah.
me, by the way.
It takes a lot of skill to make fantasy playoffs. That's
But there's a lot of luck once
There's a
you're
lot
there.
of luck when it comes to postseason.
And
And playing
You got
this
very
week,
unlucky, that's for sure.
I tied the lowest point output I've scored this entire season at 106 in a very high scoring league. Like 106 is my lowest point this season, and that's what I scored against you.
You know what's hilarious is that I had Riley Patterson, who got hurt, and then they waived him, so he had 0 points. And then I had, Brian Robinson. He had 0 points because he was out. And then I also had...
We're talking playoffs here. You're Sacco.
No, I know.
Why are you going through your lineup?
But I'm just saying that, like, had I been in, and then I had Michael Pittman, who got absolutely destroyed, which we're going to be talking about. But yes, I missed the playoffs. But it was funny because had I been in the playoffs, I would have been screwed because like 3 of my guys go down there. Okay, cool. Back to the show.
That was the equivalent of "Do you believe in love?"
Let's talk about sports. But hey, how about my failed fantasy team that didn't even make the playoffs? And one of the reasons why I didn't make the playoffs this year is because of Patrick frickin' Mahomes. Not because he's bad, but it was just like his fantasy stats have been brutal. And maybe it's because
hasn't
of
been great this year.
all of those drop balls from Kadarius Toney. Drops another brutal one. Like we have a literal highlight video of Kadarius Toney bobbling up, tossing up in the air, guys catching it on the opposing team and running it back for an interception or a pick six. Drops upon drops upon drops. Like, he is literally driving Patrick Mahomes insane. Do you guys see the video of him reacting after those interceptions? I've never seen one guy do that to Patrick Mahomes.
This is kind of like our thing. Like when you're doing a sports podcast or you're just friends talking about sports, we all kind of have as fans, you have this take of like what's happening to Tony and all this shit. And I can't help. There's always a big part of me that will always look at it from the athlete's point of view. And man, that guy must be going through fucking hell, watching his career like disintegrate right in front of his eyes, knowing that every single one of these drop passes there's less money, less like a slimmer chance of a team signing you again.
Yeah,
and you're
the
watching
personal torment.
Yeah, it's like this is it. Like I'm out of the league. And like it's easy for us to judge as fans, but as like looking at it from the athlete's
From like
point
a
of view,
human level, yeah,
man, that's gotta suck for him.
Honestly, you kind of feel bad for him because, like I said, the personal torment, like, I mean, he's got to be beating himself up.
Yeah, because
you
people are beating him up too.
Yeah, and you hope that he has, he's a professional athlete. Hopefully, he has a little bit more mental fortitude to, focus on the next play. Leave it in the past, forget about it. But gosh, it's got to be stacking up. I definitely get what you're saying.
It's also easier to handle this, or I guess to respond to it mentally and even outward, if your team is throwing you under the bus.
Right.
Where you could channel that anger and be like, dude, fuck you guys. This team has looked out for him. Mm-hmm. They have never thrown him under the bus.
That's exactly what
they have taken. They've taken every drop as a team loss, and he just keeps letting them down, which will eat at you.
Yeah, I mean, like, even in, like, a very, like, you were clearly offsides, they stuck up for you. Before that, when you had all these drops, they're like, we still believe in him, we're still gonna, like, we still have confidence in him. But this, right here, I just can't fucking stand him, man. God damn it. If I were to, I'm pretty sure that's exactly what he says here. That we're
I think
looking
it
at,
says stand it.
Stand it.
Yeah.
Not him.
Stand it, yeah.
He's such a team guy. He would, no matter how many more times Tony drops passes, if they even keep him, he's never going to get to a point where he's like, fuck him, I can't.
But isn't that it? Isn't that it? Because we've never seen Mahomes look like that before on the sidelines.
That is a normal frustration without throwing a specific person under the bus.
But he's never shown that towards one person.
It.
That happens right after that. And so, and I think that that's where you're going with it. It's like all of the people and all the pundits and all the critics and everything, as long as the team is with you, you're fine. But that to me is like you losing that confidence right there. And I know that's heat at the moment and everything, but that is a culmination of all of those moments.
been
That's
let
not
down
just that
multiple
one
times.
moment. Like Kadarius Toney has the yips. Like I mean, it's just like he has to do some sort of hypnosis on himself or something, but they can't keep putting him out there.
As much as
but who else are they going to do?
as much as
They
you
need to get
see
Marcus Kemp back. Leighton Lancer legend.
as much as you see like new frustration to you for Patrick Mahomes, doesn't this seem still incredibly more mature than anything else he could have done?
Yeah.
There's a lot. He could have walked up to Tony and be like, "What the fuck, dude? Like,
Yeah.
how many times do you see that on the sideline?"
Yeah.
But he channeled his anger and sat there and he's like, "Fuck, god damn it, this is bullshit."
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that this is a pretty mature response from Mahomes, considering, because we've all seen kind of what you're alluding to, Miguel. We've all seen those flare-ups on the sidelines between receivers and quarterbacks. Like, you got to catch the damn ball.
Yeah.
Like, even the best guys, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, would have those moments.
AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts, they
Yeah.
fucking get into it all the
Yeah.
time.
And then Stephon Diggs with
Yeah.
Josh Allen. That's more Josh Allen or Stephon Diggs at Josh
And
Allen.
I feel like a lot of those examples is because they're friends with those guys. And I think if this was like Kelsey Mahomes, I think Mahomes would go up to Kelsey and be like, "What the what's happening?"
Yeah.
But I don't think he has that relationship with Kadarius Toney, so he's kind of just taking it out on no one.
Right. And again, this type of reaction, again, now more so at the situation, possibly his teammate reacting to what happens there, is, again, one of those things about losing that grasp of the control in all of those things. At this point, they're not going to be used to possibly going and playing on the road in the playoffs early. A first-round bye, all those things that are so important to these number 1 or number 2 seeds. So I definitely can see that. I mean, but winning does cure that frustration in that moment. And one thing that the Eagles can't say is that no matter all the boneheaded mistakes that they had, including a Jason Kelsey penalty for the tush push by moving the ball forward, they end up losing that game to a Drew Lock-led Seahawks, which we'll talk about Drew Lock here in a second because I think that was an awesome story. But the Eagles now lose another game.
No bueno.
I am not on the same side as it seems like everyone else on the country with Philly.
You still have all the confidence in them?
Because I watched that Kelsey documentary today, it reminded me of because they did a breakdown basically of following the entire season last year.
Mm-hmm.
This is exactly what happened to them last year. It's literally a mirror image of their season last year. It's like you start off undefeated, and then they started losing games, and then Hurts was getting blamed for committing turnovers and boneheaded plays. You need 13 yards to kick a field goal, and you fucking throw it deep to A.J. Brown. What are you doing?
And he missed Devontae Smith underneath.
Yeah.
Wide open.
The weirdest thing is the plays are mirror image of what happened last year. Just different people. It is exactly the same. And then they went to the Super Bowl. And I think that they lost to 2 powerhouse teams, San Francisco and Dallas, right? If they had won against Seattle, I know this sounds weird, and it might be flipped in some people's opinions. If they had lost to Seattle, everyone's take would have been, you can't beat the 2 powerhouse. You're going to run into them. You can beat everybody else. Losing to Seattle shows me that they just need to get shit together. They lost to 2 powerhouse teams and a mediocre team led by a backup quarterback. They're fucking up. Like, there's something is wrong, which they're going to fix. I think they are the scariest fucking team in the league right now.
You do.
After the loss last night, I think they're the scariest team in the league. This team's going to fix whatever's happening. They're all boneheaded shit.
I hope they do. I've been pretty open. I love watching the Eagles play and be successful. And it is kind of eerie how similar the trajectory they have this season is to last season. But I mean, they really got to turn it around and quick.
Yeah, and I don't. Here's the thing: I don't know at what point last year you had Jason Kelsey animated yelling about their play calling on the sidelines. I don't know at what point during last year was Jalen Hurts in postgame complaining about players' commitment and their effort. And so I see that and I hear that. I'm like, this is fractured. Like, there's something seriously wrong. And if anything, right now, I mean, we saw Christian McCaffrey was on the Manning cast last night. He was literally calling out plays, and I know that he's in it, whatever, but he was calling out every single play that the Eagles were running. There's nothing inventive about what they're doing right now. It's like tush push, which I saw a stat. 28% of Jalen Hurts' fantasy points this year have come because of the tush push, whether it be his rushing yards or touchdown making abilities. So, I mean, all I'm saying is that, like, there's nothing terribly inventive. I guess they're just doing what they're doing well, but I don't know. They're making in-season moves at defensive coordinator. I'm not liking what I'm seeing with.
Yeah, but
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it's very similar to what we were talking about with the whole Michigan thing and Coach Prime's response. Now, football's the type of game where you can know what's coming. You still got to stop it.
Yeah, the whole McCaffrey thing on the Manning cast, do you think that's new? Like, these guys, Romo calls every play that's happening on games that he calls. They know what's happening. You know that they're going to do the brotherly shove. You know they're going to do a slant to Devontae Smith. They're 10-4. They've been doing this all fucking season. These reactions are just the extreme because it's the same way that Brock Purdy has a great game and he's a leading MVP. Like, all of a sudden, Jalen Hurts is gone. Dak has a bad game. Now Dak's like 5th in the MVP votes. I mean, they swing in extremes because they lost. They're still 10-4. I think my opinion doesn't change that San Francisco and Dallas even are still going to be the toughest team that you face, but I have zero worries with Philly. I think they're scary, especially after the loss last night.
I have little worry. I don't have zero, but I'm not super worried because I do agree with Miguel mostly that this is a pretty dominant team and they have like a team aspect that I don't think a lot of other teams in the NFL have. They really kind of have this brotherhood that I feel like gets along and connects with one another and trusts one another, that they've gone through these types of things before and they know how to get past them and succeed. So I do have a little bit of worry, but I'm fairly confident that they're going to be able to turn it around.
Yeah, when you're worried about the whole commitment comment, that's something I would worry about on a team that's not connected. Like on a Zach Wilson making that comment. But this is like, as much as you don't want to air anything out outside of the locker room, these guys have such close relationships. Like A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts are like best friends, you know, and they.
So this is, and I'm saying this because I love you, not I'm saying.
And the
this
response, and like I feel like he's saying it from a place of care, and he knows how it like the response he'll get from it is not negative.
Yeah, and I think I was listening to Pardon My Take. They had Jeff Saturday on. They were kind of talking about some of this stuff because Jeff Saturday and Peyton Manning famously had a lot of words for each other on, on the field. And he was like, that's just football. Like, it's a passionate game. Emotions fly. Everybody wants this, wants to win and wants to be the best so badly, more than anything. And sometimes that happens. But as soon as you walk outside of those lines, you're a brotherhood. You are the only ones that you have for one another. You have to have each other's back, and you have to know that in the moment, if we're, telling each other to fuck off or whatever, it ends as soon as the clock hits 0 and we leave that field.
It's not.
And then our mission is aligned. We're heading towards the same goal.
It's not ill intention, and the emotion you're seeing from Jason Kelsey is probably because he's looking at this as his last season and he wants to go out on top.
And he's a leader. He's an obvious leader of that team. A vocal one as well.
He's built up the right to say something.
Yeah, and he has to. He should be saying something.
Yeah.
Don't forget, they're also a little banged up. Like, they're waiting for some guys to come back.
Right, yeah.
Like, Fletcher Cox, did he play last night?
I think he did.
But if he did, he wasn't 100%.
Yeah,
like,
Lane Johnson went out for a while.
Darius Slay isn't on the
Slay's
team right
out.
now.
Yeah.
It would be the same as, like...
Sorry, go ahead.
But you face team... Like, you want your team to come together around this time. Wild card, playoffs, NFC Championship, whatever. But I mean, this is kind of off topic, but you know how they're saying, does Brock Purdy deserve being the favorite in MVP votes right now?
Right.
Well, look at how the Niners looked when they played the Eagles in the NFC Championship last year, and it wasn't Brock Purdy. You know, they would have won with him, but they were also beat up. Like, they didn't have everyone. There's a lot of different factors, and for Philly missing people like Slay, that's fucking huge. Blankenship got hurt. These are major, they're one of the top defenses with all of those guys in. So that's why I'm not worried. Like, they get those guys back in a few weeks. They get their shit together. They'll be fine.
I just don't think that we've seen, and maybe this is just one of those years where we're going to be kind of surprised by who will ever be the champion, because I feel like at this point it could be any number of a handful of teams.
I mean, speaking of surprises, the Bills might fuck around and win themselves a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I mean, like the Bills they were up and down.
But they're trending the right way.
Up. So, but when I see the Eagles and the Chiefs, we're looking at like 4 weeks. We're looking at about a month where we've been talking about like, how are we feeling about those two teams? One, I don't think we've ever had this long of a time period where we've had to say about either of those teams. And then two, it happening at this time of the year, because the Bills, like you said, are a scary team. All of a sudden, you could be like a number 2 seed or whoever, and then you end up playing the Bills, and you just go, well, crap,
Yeah.
It's kind of like whoever played the Lakers or whatever, when they were like, the Lakers got healthy at the end of the year, and it's like, well, here we go. Like, we've got a fully healthy now Lakers team, and we battled our asses off. It was Memphis last year, right?
Yeah.
Where you had like those guys who won so many games, and then you end up losing that series. So, I
have a quick question.
Sure. And then I want to propose a bet.
Yeah, because maybe I'm just a little late to this, but when the fuck did Matt Patricia become the defensive coordinator for the Eagles?
It was like it was announced a day before.
Yeah, but when was he even on the coaching staff? You're like, wait, hold on. How do you get here?
I guess he's been up in the booth the whole season.
The funny thing is,
down?
we are talking about a bunch of players in Philly. If you go, like, from what I've seen just all over the internet and like blogs and all this shit, Philly fans, like the hardcore Philly fans, they're not pissed at Jalen Hurts for fumbling. They're not pissed at Jason Kelsey for the penalty. You know who the entire Philly fan base is pissed off at?
Who?
Sirianni. They are pissed off at their fucking coach. They're like, you are our downfall. Like, they are blaming him for everything.
Yeah,
well, I think that kind of gets back
emotional.
to what Pete's saying, is that they could show a little bit more variety and try to work in some new strategy, because it does seem a little bit like he just keeps on going back to the same shit. And, when you're getting into the late season and into playoffs, you need to have that variety to throw people off. So I can get that frustration for sure.
There is some concern over Jalen Hurts again, especially because, I know this last week he had the illness, but, he's doing fumble drills to try and hold on to the ball while, like, everyone's filming. It just made it look like they were trying to embarrass Jalen Hurts by allowing cameras to film that. Like, I don't know. Just, like, handle it a little bit different. I think that they have a little bit of a communication problem there. But this is the bet that I want to propose. And I mentioned it to Miguel because I didn't want to, like, assume that he may possibly be interested in this. But Braxton, you are also able to get in on this too.
Okay.
I would like to bet and say yes that neither the Chiefs nor the Eagles will be represented in this year's Super Bowl. And if they are, then I lose the bet. If either of those teams are in, I lose the bet.
What's the dollar value here?
I'm kind of in that, like, $50 range.
It's fair. We make one game bets for 20, so 50 is fair for a longer
bit of
one.
A future.
It's very risky, mostly for NFC, because you're going to have to run through San Francisco or Dallas.
But you think that the Eagles are the scariest team?
Yeah, not being stupid and thinking that they're just gonna run through a stacked San Francisco team. Like I'm saying, I'm not worried about them. That would be more concerning for me than the Chiefs' path. But I'll take it. I like it.
Boy, howdy.
I like the game. That's why it's called gambling. It's not a for sure thing.
Oh man,
You want it?
Do you want in on it?
No, I'm good.
Okay,
I'm good.
You're off of it.
How about this?
We could have. You want to do 25 each? Because you guys have done that to me. I've never been on the receiving end of it.
I'll do 25 each.
Okay,
25 each
25
against
each
him.
against
Yeah.
me.
Okay.
Cool.
I just wanted to be a part of the team going up against one person.
Yeah,
So
there you go. I'm
fair.
here for you.
Gang up on me. Why not?
Team cool versus team loser.
You know, we can talk about how teams are reacting, and there was one team this past weekend that had been hot, and then all of a sudden they get boat raced by a non-divisional team. I'm talking about the Denver Broncos. And then we had Sean Payton absolutely dressing down Russell Wilson this past weekend. I'm curious about your guys' thoughts about that, because I haven't seen. Maybe I have. I mean, I've seen Dable read Daniel Jones the riot
This
act,
is
but
different.
that was different. It felt like.
We have kind of touched on this early on in the season and how we feel about Sean Payton and how we looked at him as a Saints coach with Drew Brees versus now. I have never been a huge fan of Russell Wilson. I think he's a cheeseball. He's corny as shit. He does a lot of things that makes me cringe. But I have not seen a more professional response to getting fucking chewed out as a professional athlete, making as much money as he does. And it made me lose so much. Whatever little respect I have for Sean Payton, it's gone. Fuck, that guy is blaming Russell Wilson for something that went wrong. Maybe you're the fucking reason that you're losing. Maybe it's other people. Russell Wilson took that on the fucking chin and just nodded and said, yes, sir, essentially. And I respect that he did that, because Sean Payton is a piece of shit for doing that.
I kind of hope, and I know it's getting late in his career, but I kind of hope that Russell is able to go, because I'm with you. I've never been a big Russell Wilson guy, and I've been indifferent. I haven't hated him.
I don't hate him.
Not really cared.
Yeah.
But now I'm on his side, and I kind of hope that he leaves Denver and is able to go to a team next year and take them to the playoffs, or just do something to kind of prove hey, it wasn't me, in Denver. It was a team. It was Sean Payton. I still got it, even at my age, because I kind of feel bad for him.
But on top of Russell Wilson succeeding, watching Sean Payton tank.
Fail.
Just fucking tank.
Right, and so it's kind of an interesting thing, too, because, obviously the Broncos would need to trade Russ away. I mean, he's, extended. They're married to each other unless they try and figure out how to get rid of him. So, I mean, I agree with you guys. Sean Payton came off looking like such a turd.
Yeah.
Such an asshole for that. That's not... I don't know. I guess guys yell at each other, but this one felt almost personal or something like that. It was.
Yeah, this isn't a sideline Peyton Manning, Jeff Saturday type of fucking back and forth. This is Sean Payton belittling Russell Wilson. That's how I saw it. It's very disrespectful, and he just looked like a fucking moron for doing that.
Yeah. I wonder if Sean Payton is going to come to regret joining the Broncos, and maybe it's because
seems like he already has.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be in cap hell no matter what. So I mean, it's they're married to Russell Wilson. So I mean, maybe he has the influence.
And he
to get
obviously
rid of him,
doesn't like him.
Doesn't want him there, and so then what? You try and trade him. You don't get the draft capital that you had for getting him in the first place, and then maybe you get a little bit of relief there. But I don't know. It feels like. Again, is the success of the Broncos more Sean Payton or more Russell Wilson this year, at least in this most recent thing? And maybe Sean Payton is saying, you're ruining what I've built or whatever. But,
Didn't build shit.
Yeah.
they haven't built anything, that's for sure.
I had respect for Sean Payton during his time with the Saints. I've lost it all.
0. Yeah, for sure. He's ruined it.
Yeah.
Now, you were talking again about, we were talking about the Bills just briefly, but it was interesting to see, just again, how this ebbs and flows every single week. Because, like, you go from fraud alert to Super Bowl contender to frauds again. And it was like what we saw with the Cowboys the previous week against the Eagles. And then here they get boat raced by the Bills. And then, the Bills finally figured out how to run. They ran like 17% more than they usually do. And it was like, whoa, how did you guys not discover this in the past? And so this, again, is like a team that you don't know at what point they're going to be put on fraud alert again, because just a week ago, everyone was thinking that the Cowboys were them boys again.
Yep. And it's just like I said, everybody's going to say, oh, we them boys, Cowboys to the Super Bowl. And I will never, ever believe in the Cowboys. That they are going to break all their fans' hearts. It's going to be bad. But honestly, I love the Bills, always have. I'm very happy to see them trending in the right direction. I think it was 3 weeks ago they were 35-1 odds to win the Super Bowl, and now they're like 15-1.
Wow. Okay.
So it's pretty incredible incline there. But yeah, I mean, and I think they've got a somewhat tough schedule to finish. I know they have to play Miami again.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I think maybe Jets and Patriots. I don't think those will be too hard. But
I don't think.
Here's what I'll say.
Yeah, they've got the Chargers this week, and then they've got the Patriots and the Dolphins.
Yeah. If you are, obviously, I don't think that they're going to get the 1 seed. It's possible. They do have the ability to do that. It could come down to that Dolphins game. However, if you don't want the Bills to come into your house if you're in the playoffs. You don't want to play them anywhere, in my opinion. I think that they are going to be dangerous in the playoffs. And again, I'm a little bit of a homer. I know that I have preference for them. But gosh, they're trending in the right way at the right time.
I don't think they have even a small chance to win the Super Bowl, but I definitely don't want to play them in January. I think there's just way too many roadblocks for this Bills team to win the Super Bowl. They don't have enough with who I see up there. But you do not want to play this team in the playoffs.
That Sean McDermott hit piece about the 9/11 terrorist attacks didn't really. It kind of seems like it went the other way with the locker room. It seems like they started to band together a little bit more after that.
Well, and I think that this is going to be one of those years where the Bills are going to get into the playoffs, hopefully, and the expectations aren't going to be as high. And maybe that's kind of what they need is, nobody thinks that they're going to do anything. I think maybe having that change in energy around that team could be a positive thing.
I personally this past week put a future on, I didn't pick a Super Bowl winner, but I picked the matchup, which would be the Ravens and the 49ers. That's not a very inventive answer, but it was actually...
It's like the favorite, right?
Yeah, it was a favorite, but it was like... I still think it was like at plus 600 or something like that. So, I mean, like...
I don't see the Ravens making it there.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, they got a lot of tools. A lot of good guys.
I mean, they did have another injury with Keaton Mitchell going down. That was a brutal injury because he was having such a good game. It seems like... let's see. So right now in the futures, we have the 49ers at plus 200, the Ravens at plus 550, the Chiefs at plus 700, which I am still surprised by. The Eagles at plus 850, Dolphins at plus 850, Cowboys at plus 950, and then the Bills, if you're thinking about a good money value, at plus 1,200 right now.
Here's how I look at the Ravens, which kind of contradicts my view of who should win MVP. The Ravens is the Ravens engine is reliant on one person and one person only. You take him out of that lineup and they're absolute trash. They're not going anywhere without Lamar Jackson. Technically, with that opinion, Lamar sounds like the MVP to me. I know that he's won it before. But And it's completely contradictory of who I think should win MVP, which is McCaffrey. Because I know that it's been labeled as a quarterback award. But if you're considering Brock Purdy for what he's doing with the Niners, which is incredible, right? He's efficient, and he, I believe, has more passing yards and less passing attempts than anyone else. But
yeah, I think he's like 32nd in pass attempts, but second in passing yards or
Yeah.
something like that. Crazy.
if you're considering Brock Purdy, how can you not consider McCaffrey from the same team?
Yeah, I mean, I would generally agree with you on the McCaffrey thing, which I think he's absolutely every week he's a guaranteed anytime touchdown.
And even when he's not, he's a guaranteed 80-plus yards rushing and
Right.
like 50 yards receiving.
But there are a couple times this year where they have scored 30-plus points, and it's been a literal joke. Like, how did all these people score and he doesn't? Type of thing. I know that we're not using that as the benchmark. You score and you're good.
Yeah, but I think the point is even in those games, he has well over 100 all-purpose yards. He's still a key contributing factor. Like, I know in that one game a couple weeks ago when he didn't score, he got them to the 3-yard line.
That was
4 times.
Yeah, that was so brutal because that one he busts out for 80 yards or
Yeah.
whatever, ends up on the 3-yard line, and then the backup, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but because he had just busted out for 80 yards, then
tired, yeah.
he's tired, and then he punches it in. But that would have been the time that he would have gotten
But
the
it's
anytime touchdown.
it's like that measure that Niners fans or other fans use to justify how great Brock Purdy is. And I don't want to take anything away from him. I don't want to take any credit away from what he's doing. But when they're saying that they lost that NFC championship to the Eagles, which they would have won with him in the backfield, they were also banged up. They didn't have the tools that he has now. Whoever star that he had when he took over, he doesn't have the full complete roster like he does this season. So they would have lost that regardless because they didn't have everyone. Now he gets to play with a full roster of a McCaffrey, Kittle, Debo, Ayuk, everyone else.
Right now, in the MVP voting, you have McCaffrey at plus 1,000. That's good enough for fourth. Then you have Dak Prescott at plus 700, Lamar Jackson plus 450, and then the favorite at minus 200 is Brock Purdy. And the reason why I think that people want it so badly
It's
to
a
be
great
Brock
story.
Purdy is because of the story, right? And I just coming back from injury and proving it again, and possibly leading your team to a Super Bowl. And I know that it's a regular season award, and this will be all determined by then. Since his injury, Tyreek Hill now at plus 2,500. That's good enough for 6th, 7th. So
I don't want them to give it to Brock Purdy because it makes for a great storyline. Because if you're considering him,
but it's voted on by a bunch of journalists.
right? I mean,
So it's,
again, Mike Leach's point.
Game,
That's
set,
who
match.
fucking decides on shit like
Right.
this. But if you're considering him, you have to seriously consider McCaffrey. But if we're going by the definition of MVP, then it has to be Lamar.
I would tend to agree with that. And honestly, why don't they make these awards player and coach voted? That would make so much more sense. in my
Because those
opinion.
guys don't know more than journalists. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I have
That's
no
a good
idea.
point. I
They
forgot
know
about that,
nothing more
Miguel.
than journalists at all. But that's where that's at currently.
I just wanted to be McCaffrey because I win $300 if you
Oh,
win.
the truth comes out.
Okay, so let's go on fraud alert. Bills, frauds, no frauds.
Not frauds.
Cowboys.
Frauds.
Fraud.
What's your Bills take?
Fraud.
You're fraud sticking to it.
I mean, I don't think they'll win the Super Bowl or even make the Super Bowl game, but I would be scared I would be scared to play them in the playoffs.
I would say they're not frauds if they're in the AFC Championship.
Sure. I don't think they'll make it there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chiefs.
Not frauds.
And I suppose we have to look at our definition of fraud. I guess Super Bowl contender is when I think of fraud or not fraud.
Yeah, I think if you're making it, because there's wild card, divisional.
Division, conference, Super Bowl.
Okay, so I think if you're making it into the divisional round, that's not fraud.
Also, wouldn't you consider the fact that with all the challenges that the Chiefs have gone through all season, they are 8-5. They have a winning record.
Yeah.
With this turmoil of a fucking season they're having, they've clinched the playoff spot. They're not fighting for it. Pretty sure that makes them non-frauds.
Yeah, I'm going to say not frauds for the Chiefs.
I will, because I have the bet, I will call them frauds. I think that they're out by the divisional round. I think that they're not in the conference championship.
Journalist.
I'll take the take because I it kind of teeter-totters every week despite the
I'll
win.
I'll be honest, I wouldn't be surprised by that.
Yeah. I think that I see the Eagles losing in the conference championship to the 49ers, and I see the Chiefs running into something and having
Buffalo?
possibly, and just kind of having a lackluster game.
Mahomes owns Allen.
I could see the Chiefs playing the Browns in the wild card and just fucking,
Well, then they're going
around,
to the conference championship.
fucking around and
Joe
finding out.
Flacco wins his second Super
Come
Bowl.
on with it. No way.
Or in the, what did I say, conference? I meant wild card.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, wild card weekend.
Ravens,
Not frauds.
Not frauds.
Dolphins.
Not frauds.
Not frauds.
I'm saying that I don't think they're not frauds, but I'm also concerned about their injuries.
Yeah.
Did they win without Tyreek last week?
49ers obviously not frauds.
That's too many not fraud teams.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. There's so many different. I mean, and we kind of went up and down about who's the Super Bowl favorite, and anyone under 1,000 at plus 1,000 is pretty good, good odds there. So,
How crazy would it be if Joe Flacco took the Browns?
Dude, I would
to
honestly.
even to like the AFC Championship. That would be
I'm not
nuts.
a Browns fan, but I'd be so happy for Joe Flacco.
Not for me.
You're a fraud.
No,
you have two teams.
you're a fraud.
Hey, we've talked to other Browns fans, your aunt,
Yeah.
from Cleveland, and it's very common for Browns fans to have secondary and tertiary teams.
You have three
but you're
technically.
not
You're also
allowed.
Eagles.
You're not allowed to be a Bills fan if the Browns make the playoffs.
Yeah, I will absolutely root for the Browns
Yeah.
until they lose.
Dude, let's root for a Browns-Bills game because that would be
I
wonderful.
want Joe Flacco to have a fucking movie-like ending, winning a second Super Bowl
With
that
the
would be
Browns.
so incredible.
Another guy who,
Without Nick Chubb,
yeah.
Jesus.
For Chubby.
For Chubby, who had a kind of a movie ending was in Monday Night Football with Drew Lock. I don't want to go into this too much, but I just really, if anyone saw his post-game comments, you saw how emotional he was. I'm so glad that Lisa Salters, the sideline reporter, was picking up on it, and she went back to it multiple times, and only, she kept on trying to pull that emotion out of him, to the point, she was like, I can hear it in your voice, I can see it in your face, and he, said, it gets to a point where you start questioning whether or not you're able to do something like this. It, questions whether or not this was the right move. All these other things. Would they rally behind me because they're, that I was a game time decision, that type of a deal. And to just lead the comeback despite the fact that I lost money on the Monday Night Football game, I was happy to see that happen for a guy who maybe needed that confidence
I'm
boost.
going to take the most unpopular opinion on Drew Lock.
Fuck Drew Lock.
I don't think there's nothing unlikable about the guy. He is a likable dude. He's nice. He is not arrogant. But I just thought that, there's other backups who have been through a fucking hell than you. The whole, I don't know if I can do this again. Fuck, I'd give that to Mariota. I'd give that to Trevor Siemian. I'd give that to fucking
Jake Browning.
Jake Browning,
Well,
especially.
maybe he hasn't had that
I just
yet,
felt
but
like,
who knows?
I know that it was on TV and they were getting it out of him, but I was like, come on, bro.
You didn't like it.
You've never been out of the league. You have not been out of the league in the last 5 years. You have had a better chance than a lot of other I can name 5 backups that you had a better chance of playing
Of actually getting in the game.
Of actually getting in. Like Drew Lock has been on the roster in the last 5 years. I thought it was a little dramatic. I know that it was he was on a high. It was cool, but I don't want to take any credit away from the Seahawks. The Eagles gave you a fucking game.
Yeah.
Like the Eagles shit the fucking bed. Okay.
How tough were those 2 interceptions? Is it Julian Love? Love, yeah, whatever that guy, his first name is. I'm sorry, I don't know his first name. That second one, the game-clinching one, was very questionable. I saw another angle today where it didn't look like that foot got
before
that scraped the turf.
Before the second replay, the 2 toes hitting, that was fucking impressive. That was insane.
I thought that one that he had on the run in the end zone was just so crazy. Because it's like anyone who like tracks a ball like that, like whether it's like a fly ball in baseball or anything like that, like you have a helmet on that limits your visibility. You're hand fighting with the guy. You're going 20 miles an hour, and you're trying to then also like catch this ball. Like these guys are incredible.
And I'm a huge fan of Smith and Jigba from Ohio State, and that was a great game-winning touchdown.
Yeah, look at a guy who can make a catch. Crazy.
That wouldn't have fucking happened if the Eagles' two best safeties in the fucking league were in the game.
Yeah.
Blankenship and Darius Slay. There's no way he would have been that open back there. There's no way.
Well, you play who your opponent puts on the field.
Yep,
so
that's
good,
true.
Good for them.
We'll talk about this upcoming week in the NFL here shortly, but I wanted to get into the NBA a little bit. I don't even think it's worth our time to talk about Brandon Staley getting fired. They lose in Thursday Night Football 63-21. Yeah. We all saw it coming.
Who would have thought?
Yeehaw, right? You know, and this was the one thing I was going to say about that. I would have a very tough time with John Harbaugh being the head coach. He would frustrate the hell out of me. And then, to come from
Until
Michigan.
they win.
Right. And that's the thing, right? It would be very conflicting for me because it's like he's going to come, he's going to be annoying, they're going to win. And, then he leaves Michigan conveniently while all this, Spygate stuff is going on. But whatever.
You like Pete Carroll?
I like him better than I liked him when he was at USC. Yeah.
We'll see what the best part about Staley getting fired is we'll see what Herbert's made of next season. Now that Brandon Staley is not the coach.
Yeah, I was gonna
I only think he can get better.
Hopefully.
I mean, he had an incredible year.
It was interesting that Kellen Moore was like, "Nah, I don't want to be interim because I don't want to ruin my chances of actually being a head coach." Apparently, that was a rumor. But a couple things in the NBA. I'd want to touch on the Draymond Green suspension. Obviously he literally assaults Yusuf Nurkic on a basketball court. and then he has the indefinite suspension. And then I think that he'll have an actual suspension after his leave or something like that. So your thoughts on Draymond Green?
I mean, he's got to cool it.
There's something wrong with him. I'm not going to move away from standing up at the fact that he is a huge piece to Warriors dynasty. I think people downplay what the triple single, but Draymond does a lot of intangibles for that team on the 4 championships that they won. I don't think you can take that away.
I totally agree.
People always you ride the coattails of Steph and Clay and Kevin Durant and all this shit. He was a huge part of those 4 championships, but there's literally a highlight reel of him making non-basketball moves. He is kicking dudes. He's punching them. He's a fucking nightmare. And you can say that he has not been disciplined or Steve Kerr just let him do that. Steph never really spoke up about it. That's tough. That guy is he's part of the core of your championship team. So it's like you don't want to turn on the guy for one wrong thing, but now it's piled on.
Yeah. There's something that Hot Take Machine Nick Wright said on the Dan Patrick show.
First of all, Nick Wright's a fucking idiot.
But he said something that was really insightful that I that I wanted to bring here, which was the public perception and how a guy like Draymond Green will be remembered in the annals of history. And whether it will be the exact way that you are describing it, Miguel, as this best defender, dynasty team, all of that, versus will this stuff overshadow everything that he's done?
Absolutely. It will. It is already overshadowed it.
Because everybody, especially when it comes to sports, has recency bias. And if you ask people, you ask 100 people, tell me about Draymond Green.
This is what they'll remember.
This is what they're going to tell you.
Right. How
Now,
unfortunate, right?
If you flip it, if he was like this in the beginning and then they started winning championships and turned his act around, you'll remember the latter. But not this way. He got worse.
Yeah, because you can almost go like what happened to him? Like you can take that kind of point of view of like, oh, well, he used to be, a structured player who, definitely fought hard on the court, fought hard on defense, but he did it in a way where he wasn't punching people. There is record and evidence of him being
There's literal highlight tapes of him assaulting people on a basketball court. Yeah.
Here's what I find funny, though, and this isn't to excuse or to reason why Draymond's been Draymond the last few years and why he's doing all this shit, but it's more to put a spotlight on, like, the hypocrite fans. You know, how many people do you know that are used to old basketball that says, the NBA today is so soft. I want 90s NBA. I want Dennis Rodman, 80s with Bill Laimbeer. Draymond's technically showing you that. Because this is no different than Laimbeer punching Larry Bird. Rodman punching Karl Malone.
Right, but I mean, like, the game has changed.
The game has changed. But
it's like you're the only one in the room who's, like, acting like that.
But there's a group of people that's like, the NBA is so soft with LeBron and Anthony Davis. They're made of fucking glass. They're bitching at everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have a guy
bitching at everything
that's representing what you're asking for. He's representing that 90s basketball.
Right.
And it's like, that's too much. I don't want it. Like, but that's what it was. If you were alive and you're begging for what you want, that's what they were doing back then. Jordan, there's a reason Michael Jordan had to get stronger. He was getting fucking punched in the mouth every time he drove to the basket.
I think that there is a case to be made about the Warriors' culpability in all of this. They basically, I'm not saying that they enabled it, but what I am saying is that they chose to use his past, his past about how he helped them on the court, how he's been there as, a homegrown player, all of this stuff. And they said, hey, like, maybe don't knock out Jordan Poole and ruin this guy's career, but, like, we still have your back. They chose Draymond in that moment, and they rewarded him with a $100 million contract. They basically said, everything about you and what you're doing, including all of that stuff, we accept. And you are, and they...
I can't fault him for that. I understand why they did that. You don't turn your... We're not talking about just any other player. Like, you can take this example and turn it into anything else, even outside of sports. You go through it with someone, like us three. We do a podcast. One of us fucks up. We don't just turn on that one person. You get as many chances as you need. That's his part of that team.
Right.
I understand why the Warriors did that.
And to be honest, Peter, it's not that surprising. Professional athletes historically do some pretty fucked up and terrible things and turn around and get re-signed to a team and get hundreds of $millions after they beat women and kill dogs and do some pretty terrible shit. I mean, you can at least in this, circumstance point it towards passion in the game. At least he's not doing this kind of stuff off the court. You know what I mean?
Right.
You can make some justifications there. Like
it's kind of surprising, though, don't you think, that it's not happening off the court?
I'm not going to speak to that.
Okay, well, it's kind of surprising that it's not happening off the court. I'll say it.
I mean, I'm glad that it's not, but I mean, I don't think that it's crazy. I don't think that all of a sudden the Warriors are a terrible organization or Steve Kerr is a bad coach because they've enabled this or promoted this or anything like that. I think that they are looking at Draymond Green as the great player that he is, as the player who has brought them the success or been a part of the success that has come to their organization, and they're gonna have his back.
All it is a positive thing. They supported a core piece to what they've accomplished. I don't see it as a bad thing.
And do they need to take action? Do they need to do something to help this guy out and help him figure out a way to not do this anymore? Absolutely. But I also think that Draymond Green is the type of person who it's like he's going to do what he wants to do. We can offer help and offer, all this different kind of stuff. If he doesn't want to do it, he's not going to fucking do it.
And so what happens when he comes back and nothing has changed?
Then I think that it's the responsibility of the NBA to take further action.
And I would have all the faith in Adam Silver. I think that guy knows what he's doing. I think he's a great commissioner. I think he handled the John Morant thing somewhat decent with everything that he's doing. Like the whole indefinite suspension could be 3 weeks, could be an entire season. Who the fuck knows? But he comes back and does it again. I think he'll feel the wrath of.
Not only now, but in the future. I mean, like, they're thinking that he's supposed to be the next Charles Barkley when he retires. Like, he could be costing himself future millions of dollars and a post-career as well. You did mention John Morant. He has since debuted. He hits a game winner in his first game back. They had this crazy stat that it was like he's the first person in NBA history, or he has the most points of anyone who's missed 25 games. It was the craziest. It was like, of course, like there's not very many people who have missed 25 straight games and then they score 34 points.
Hopefully that guy has learned his lesson. I mean, he's gone through some, and which is well deserved. He's gone through some pretty embarrassing shit. If you've seen any of the court videos,
right,
they're fucking
photos,
hilarious.
all of that.
I mean, they're doing reenactments of shit. Like
he's like, yeah, I did punch a teen,
He's like-
and she was like, hit me.
yeah, show me how you punched him.
Yeah, and then you've
He's like,
got like
"What?"
images of him swinging at a female
Yeah.
attorney. It's
It-
like,
it
oh
was-
God,
it's all
no.
comedy shit in the fucking courtroom. It's insane.
Yeah, but then he's running off the court saying, I've kept the receipts. It's like, bro, you're punching teenagers and you're showing guns on the freaking Instagram live. Like,
You know
cool
what I
it.
don't like, and I don't think this is a fucking boomer take, even though I'm not one. What I don't like about the athletes today is the whole, they're very outspoken about keeping receipts. Because I know they use that as fuel. You have to. If you're that kind of competitor, you keep the receipts to fuel your game, to do better, to perform better, to be angry on the court. But to say it is fucking corny as shit.
Yeah.
Michael
sure
Jordan
is.
did that, but he kept it all in. He's like, I'm just going to make up shit that if no one crossed me, I'm just going to make up shit and use that to like drop 40.
I mean, he did talk about it, but it wasn't till like after his career.
Till after his career, yeah.
Yeah.
Like never like you're running out to the locker room and go, I kept the receipts. Like, come on, bro. Like what happens when you drop 12 points the next game?
Exactly. I am I'm so confused at the discrepancy between the highest paid coaches in the NBA versus their current records. And right now, Greg Popovich makes $16 million. They are currently 18 games under 500. They are 4-22. Good enough for 15th, last place in the West. Then you have Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr is making $9.5 million. The Warriors are 13-14, so they've won a few games since. Originally, when the first tweet was out, they've won 3 straight. Good for them. Still under 500. And then Monty freaking Williams, $13.05 million, and they have lost 24 straight games. 2-25 are the Detroit Pistons, on pace to be one of the worst teams of all time.
Good for them.
This is
baffled by this.
I don't know what word I'm looking for, but like it's like you're nitpicking something about. You just named 3 coaches, 2 arguably Hall of Fame coaches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one guy who has taken multiple shit teams to the playoffs. New Orleans took Phoenix to the finals. They have earned that money.
You think that Popovich, for all the years that they have lost, you don't think that they should be a little bit better than 4?
Did they get paid this money that you're talking about? Did they get paid this season today?
I mean,
they fucking earned every dollar of this
Popovich
shit.
money is legacy stuff, and the only reason why he's making
So is the
$16
Steve
million.
Kerr.
So is
Yeah.
Steve Kerr.
So
I maybe can see you with the Monty Ball, but
Monty Williams,
Monty Williams. Sorry,
not the running back. That's okay.
it could be. But I mean, the Pistons suck. What are you gonna do about it?
What are you gonna do about it?
No, a lot of the teams won't stay on top forever. Pop kept the Spurs on top for over a decade. Kerr, don't forget, he won a championship 2 years ago. And when you're a good coach, your time doesn't last forever with that good team. You eventually get recruited to a bad team to try and
Rebuild. And for Pop specifically, the Spurs definitely are in rebuilding years.
Sure.
They have good young players. They that is their goal. I don't think anybody thought that they were going to be a great team. They got the first pick overall this last year for being a bad team.
So they just kind of continue to suck. Zach Collins on that team.
Oh my God, that makes them worse.
I mean, I think that you're only going to see the Spurs get better over these next 5
Yeah,
years.
I wouldn't put too much stock into what's happening with the Spurs in Detroit. Look at the 2 of the top 5 teams in the West right now are Sacramento and Oklahoma City. You ever talk about them? Remember what everyone said about them 3-4 years ago?
Sure.
Yeah, they weren't in any goddamn conversations. The other 2 were. Now we flipped. Don't forget about this Wemby kid. This kid is averaging LeBron numbers.
Yeah,
I know
don't
it's
think anyone
overlooked.
can forget about Wemby.
He is averaging LeBron numbers through however many games. They're going to be fine.
I think I think they play the Blazers the day after Christmas. I think I'm going.
Nice.
I'm excited to see him.
Courtside?
No.
Poor ass.
Box.
Oh, okay. My bad. My bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm the Warriors 13-14. You can still make the playoffs starting the season 13-14.
You could have literally named 3 other coaches, and I would have a problem with what they're getting paid versus the other 3 that you just named.
Where was I gonna go with that? I had a thing.
What about the fucking?
Oh yeah, Lakers in the in-season tournament banner. How do we?
That's
feel about
stupid.
it? Yeah,
Do not.
okay.
If Kobe
They
was
put it next to their championship banners.
Did they hang it?
Yeah, they hung it.
Kobe is turning over in his fucking grave right now. You don't hang an in-season fucking championship.
Did you see that story about Kobe and Shohei Ohtani?
Mm-hmm.
That was crazy about how the first time they never got a chance to show him the Kobe Bryant recruiting video, and then they showed it to him this time. How crazy is that?
I love Kobe as much, if not more than anyone. I'm a huge Kobe fan. As much as I like to hear these stories, Kobe can't confirm any of these.
Yeah.
I don't know what I believe anymore. Like, there's a ton of stories coming out.
You think it's AI Kobe?
I think some of these stories are fabricated from NBA players and coaches, and now this. They're cool. I hope they're true. They're real, but I don't know how many of them are made up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just kind of have to give into the allure.
Yeah. But the in-season banner is fucking stupid. You don't hang
They
that.
did put it right next to their championship
Especially with a team that has 16 fucking championships. I get it if you're the Clippers. You have nothing there but like a Taylor Swift banner and nothing else. You know, maybe Blake Griffin. But you can hang that, but not with the Lakers. Jesus Christ. Like, you have actual
Do you think that there was any like push from Adam Silver or the NBA to be like, hey,
Absolutely.
100%.
They needed to make it
They
look
needed
important.
To. Yeah. Absolutely had
But
to look important.
But Adam
He needed
Silver is
that
not going to
buy-in.
get the blame for it. Guess who's going to get
The
the blame for
Lakers.
it?
LeBron James.
LeBron James is
LeBron.
going to get the fucking blame for it.
Yeah, I know them celebrating with. I do think that a lot of the celebration is stuff that had to be kind of like, listen, you got to act excited. We're giving you an extra $500K. Just pretend that you're into this.
Yeah.
Type of a thing.
It is.
Which is generally how things go with prostitutes.
It's showing you more and more, especially with the in-season
I don't know.
thing.
I'm giving you a bunch of money. Pretend like you like this. That's kind of where
It's
that.
showing
Never
more and
mind.
more how it's like.
It's Christmas, Pete. Come on.
No, I shouldn't have said that. No, you know.
Leave it in.
Oh yeah, it's going in because we're at we're this late into it. You're in it. You're a P1 if you're still here.
You're
so.
you just have weird. Your brain functions weird.
Just constantly thinking about prostitutes.
I
I
know.
know.
Strip clubs and prostitutes.
What
all
about
night
the
long.
fucking?
There were a couple of things that I missed so that I feel like we need to bring back up from NFL and others.
I just thought the whole flip of commit. The Georgia 5-star running back, Dylan Raiola, just flipped and went to Nebraska.
Which is surprising.
That is fucking nuts.
Oregon just got two really
think-
good quarterbacks.
I know
why-
UCLA and Oklahoma.
Why would
yeah.
Dante Moore sign with Oregon?
I think
was
just
surprised
because
by that.
Dylan Gabriel is going to be a one and done, maybe.
So
Why
he's
would-
wasting a fucking season. He could have, if he wanted to play for Oregon, he could have gone next season or after Gabriel
Right.
was done.
I was kind of
And,
surprised.
and maybe he
by
thinks that he can beat him out.
Yeah, and compete for it.
I mean, they're both really fucking good. I'm very happy.
I was pretty surprised to see that commitment this weekend, especially after they get the Oklahoma kid. Right,
Dylan
Where-
Gabriel.
Yeah,
and we got that safety from Kansas State. What's his last name? He has a really cool last name.
Tanner.
Ndamukong Suh.
No. What is it? It's like Danger or Kansas State. What is it? It's something cool. Please find it.
Watch it be not that cool. It's like Smith.
What is that? What is it?
Rodriguez.
Kobe Savage.
Savage.
Kobe Savage.
Yes.
There you go.
I don't get. There's nothing that can make me understand the Dante Moore signing.
It is odd. I was very
the way
surprised when
the
it
way the
happened.
portal works and the way the teams are looking to not even play backup quarterbacks or get recruits where you could literally start and succeed at any team you go to. I don't know if it happened before Raiola flipped his commitment, but now Georgia's in the running. You could have played for Auburn. You could have played for Arkansas. You could have played for a Big 12 team, but you decided to compete against Dylan Gabriel, who's clearly number one right now.
Right.
Why?
That you start.
Why waste
yeah,
a fucking season?
It is.
And if he does beat him out, first mistake he makes, guess who's in?
Yeah.
Dylan
that
Gabriel is
guy's
in.
Yeah.
So
Right
why
behind
deal
you.
with that?
And it would be embarrassing for Dylan Gabriel to not only lose the job, but after he got the okay to wear number 8. That's embarrassing if you lose that gig.
That is. Yeah, absolutely.
That's crazy, man.
Before we get into this next week's games, there were a couple of things from the NFL that I forgot to bring up. And this one, it's good for SEO to include Tom Brady in anything that you do. And this was something that there was a huge hit on Michael Pittman this last weekend that has led to the suspension of that. Oh, I don't know his name off the top of my head. He's gone for the rest of the year
Breeze or something.
because of all of the continual violations that he's had. And so when we all saw that hit, you've got Michael Pittman who's in the air, and then you get helmet to helmet contact. Pittman's body goes in directions that it shouldn't. He's immediately in concussion protocol. And while everyone was pretty concerned for Michael Pittman, and I still think that there is concern that Tom Brady has for him, Brady had a bit of an opposing opinion in regards to, how this all went down. And Brady said, nobody likes seeing players get hurt, but hard hits happen. In this, let me finish his quote, then I'll have commentary. QB should not be throwing the ball in areas where they are exposing their own teammates to these types of hits. Coaches need to coach better. QBs need to read coverages and throw the ball to the right places, and defenders should aim for the right hitting areas. But the blame on the defensive player all the time is just flat out wrong. need better QB play. It's not okay QBs. It's not okay QBs to get your wide receivers hit because of your bad decisions. There was a weird word in there by the GOAT.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, and I think he has a point. I think this is a situation where, two things can be right at the same time. Should hits like that happen? No. Should Gardner Minshew be putting the ball in a better place? Absolutely. But I also think that it's a little convenient for Tom Brady, who has definitely put some guys in those exact same positions.
And who definitely just said the league was soft.
Yes, absolutely. It's a little contradictory to that statement. However, he's done this with Julian Edelman, with Wes Welker. He had all of these slot guys that he would throw over the middle that would get absolutely leveled. So I don't think that he's necessarily, his hands are not clean of the same thing. So
you can't throw it the best ball 100% of the time.
Yeah, and
there's so many variables that lead to that.
And he obviously of more than anybody knows that. Football is a very situational game, and sometimes you're getting rushed and you're running for your life and you need to get this first down, or you lose this game and you see a guy and you say, okay, I'm going to take a hope and a prayer. I'm going to sling this thing out there. And I mean, Pittman on this play, full extension, diving for the ball, doing everything that he can. And you kind of feel for the defender, because I don't, obviously everything's kind of bang in football when it comes to this stuff. And it's like this guy's diving full extension through the air. You're just trying to put a hit on him. And it's like, and that's where we ended up. It's unfortunate. You also teach your receivers, hey, do your best to not leave the ground. There's all these different things that you're told when you're playing football. I think to try to dissect these types of plays and put blame all on one person or on one entity is just dumb, because there's fault all around. It sucks, but it's also, this is a part of football, but you want to limit it. So, I mean, it's kind of a balance beam act.
I hate it because I'm not going to be the insensitive guy saying, like, you know what you signed up for. It's a violent game. It's car collisions fucking every 5 seconds, whatever. Tom Brady's not wrong. It might be hypocritical, but he's not wrong. When you're seeing these plays happen, 100% of the time, the defensive player gets the blame, and it's not fair, because most of the time, I would say, unless you're fucking Vontaze Burfict and you are out there being Draymond Green trying to hurt people, they're not. Most of these players aren't trying to hurt other guys. When you are going for a hit, everything happens in a split second. He's not going helmet to helmet. The position just happened to end where they end up colliding helmet to helmet. The punishment of suspending this guy for the rest of the fucking season is tough. That is not deserved.
Yeah, I mean, it's a culmination of other things.
He's
I
a
haven't
multiple
seen
offender.
I haven't seen the other hits to really make that decision, but I don't think that they are factoring just that one hit in. But
but again, he gets the blame for every single one of those hits, where I don't necessarily think he's doing it on purpose.
Do you think that if they were to put a fine in place on the quarterback for plays like this, where, hey, you led your receiver into this dangerous situation,
harm's way,
do you think that would all of a sudden change this any more than some of these other penalties?
No, because everything's so quick. I don't think that Gardner Minshew had any intention of putting his wide receiver in that situation.
But
I
also,
don't know if he's good enough or bad enough to be able to accidentally put his quarterback.
But you could give literally that exact same response verbatim for
the defender.
Yes,
sure.
He didn't want to do that. He didn't. We assume. If these football players, I don't think they want to harm one another. They just want to play football and make a tackle.
Maybe they're just really bad at technique or something.
But it's easier to punish.
But that's bad technique on Gardner Minshew.
It's easier to punish a defensive player, and they're not going to do anything to fuck with a quarterback because it's a scoring league. They're not going to do anything to mess with how a quarterback is playing. They protect them. The quarterback will always be protected first than anyone else on the field.
Yeah.
To say that you're going to fine them for making certain throws, you're going to change the entire game.
Yeah, and I know that they'll never do it.
Yeah.
But I just think would that create more safety because most of the time when we see these plays, it's receivers coming over the middle trying to make a play on the ball.
Yeah.
And the defender's trying to do the same thing.
No,
And
I
that
don't
quarterback
think-
will then go to the coaching staff and be like, hey, do not call any slant routes. Do
Right.
not call any middle routes.
Yeah.
So you're just running fucking button hooks and fades all game, ladders. There's no way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
It
don't
would
know.
never happen.
I don't know the circumstances of this guy and all of his other violations or warnings or anything like that. So I'm not going to like pass that judgment, but apparently the NFL saw suit there. If we look into this weekend's games, what a fun like weekend to have like a holiday, because we're going to get Thursday night football with the Saints and Rams. Whatever, it's a game.
Rams are frisky.
Yeah, I mean they've screwed me a couple of times.
The Rams are frisky.
They're 7-7. They are playing at home. They're 4-3 at home. They're a 4-point favorite over the Rams or over the Saints. But then we have 2 Saturday games with the Bengals and Steelers on the 23rd. Then you have Christmas Eve where you have your Sunday slate of games, and then on Christmas Day you have 3 games. Plus all the NBA games.
Love it.
So very exciting. We're going to put together I think that we should probably put together both an NBA and an NFL bet for this week.
I mean,
With
we did skip last week, so
Yeah, I know. We needed
I think we needed to collect ourselves.
we needed a bit of a collection. And still, like, I mean, we've all bet this season, and we've all seen how everything has gone up and down. Like, gosh, it has been
This has been one of the more weird NFL seasons I've experienced in a while.
lost a lot of money this year.
yeah.
It has not gone well. You know what's funny was that Lindsay was asking me about it. She's like, so like, I was like, yeah, we're a little bit more down than we are up this year, but you know, it's like, well, are you putting more money in every week? And I'm like,
Yes.
not every week. A lot of weeks, yeah.
Just like every 10 days.
Yeah, just every like Thursday morning. Oh my god.
That's bad.
Thursdays happen every week. oh, really?
Really? Oh, my bad. My bad. But yeah, so I'm excited about the NBA slate as well. Check out our socials at official IJMS. If we just kind of the like most exciting games this week, I mean, like, you know, you've got Bengals, Steelers, yeehaw. Bills, Chargers, not very exciting there because of what's, you know, you've got nothing on the Chargers end. That should be an
Browns
easy one.
Texans should be a fun game if
CJ Stroud's back.
yeah.
Yeah, then you've got this one I am so not looking forward to. And if you watch this game, what the hell are you doing? You have the Jets versus the Commanders. You have the 32nd offense versus the 32nd defense. You have the worst offense versus the worst defense this weekend with the Commanders and the Jets. So,
Well, I mean, what do
good
you,
luck to you if you're
what do
forced
you
to
even
watch that game.
base things off of? Like, you watch the Raiders play the Vikings and lose 3-0, and they put up 63 the following week against the Chargers. There's nothing. There's no pattern. What the fuck is happening?
Yeah. Probably the best game of the weekend is going to be the Cowboys at the Dolphins.
Niners Monday night, right?
The 49. Oh yeah, my bad. Then I was just on Sunday. My bad. Then you have the 49ers and the Ravens Monday Night Football. So that should be the game of the week for sure.
Kind of Ravens team. Do they take down San Francisco?
It's going to be a good one.
Gonna be.
They're two very different teams.
Nice little bounce back game for the Eagles, who get the Giants in 2 of the next 3 weeks. The Chiefs also another bounce back game against the Raiders. We didn't get much into Tommy DeVito, but that whole pizzeria thing was weird. I don't know if we have enough time to talk about it, but this whole thing where he was demanding twice as much money to go to a pizzeria only to go there for free.
Do you know
was
anything
weird.
about that agent?
Yeah, he's like now an Italian Hall of Famer or something.
But so
he was before all this, but
he
All right.
he was a quarterback for a high school team that beat Todd McShay in the state finals.
Oh,
Todd
right.
McShay's team,
Yeah.
and or wide receiver, Or no, he played quarterback
think
in
he was
high school.
quarterback.
Yeah.
And then he was a wide receiver in college at Marist College in New York. And then watched the movie Jerry Maguire and inspired him to start his own sports agency in 2013. And yeah, he just got the Italian Sports Hall of Fame. He has 5 players under his company.
Interesting.
Tommy DeVito, running back for the Commanders.
Brian Robinson.
No, not the main one. Gibson.
Oh, Antonio Gibson.
Antonio Gibson or something like that. And then 3 other guys in different teams, like not well known.
Sure.
Yeah. And he's the guy who arranged this whole appearance at a local pizza shop where they live for Tommy DeVito to show up for $20,000 or
$10,000, I think it was.
It was $10,000
it was
originally.
$10,000, and then they raised it to 20 after the 3 good games that he had, and then the family's like, we can't afford that, and then they got a lot of backlash online.
Yeah. It's like,
So
wow,
now I guess
look at you.
He showed up and said it was free or something like that.
Yeah, trying to save face there a little bit. I do think that, obviously we saw Tommy DeVito and Zach Wilson, who were the AFC and NFC players of the week. Hilarious.
Just
come back to
die.
But I mean, like, you look at DeVito and like it's not as if like he performed any differently. His stats were basically the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, Eagles get good old Tommy DeVito, who apparently I saw a story too that he got like really mad at the Giant social team, like cut it with the Italian bullshit. I just want to play football, and like stormed out of a room when they wanted him to do like a Sopranos top moments or something. I don't know if that's true. Twitter can say anything, and you believe
Yeah,
it.
They're riding the
kinda
wave.
I could wouldn't blame him.
Yeah. Like, cut
like,
it out. I
guys,
just want to play football.
Dude, if I was him,
Cool your jets.
I'd ride the wave with everyone. Like, your shit's not going to last that long.
At official IJMS, check out our Christmas specials for both NFL and NBA. And
come to our live show, you filthy animals.
and see me doing basic popping, level 1, arms and knees hitting technique. I basically feel like this is teaching me to do the haka dance, but I don't think that's what it is.
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so.
Merry Christmas, boys.
Merry
Braxton,
Christmas.
Thank you for
Merry Christmas.
the hot sauce as
You're
usual.
welcome.
Thank you,
You're welcome.
Miguel, in advance for the children's gifts.
Oh, and if you're at TD Lopez or whatever, yeah, we're going to breathe hard when we stand up, you piece of shit.
I know.
Come to the
yeah.
live
Fucking
show.
asshole.
All right, you fucking assholes. Listen, we went a little viral on the TikToks this week, and of course, all the people were like, oh, look at these fat guys. Yeah, no shit.
America's #1 big man certified podcast. Get used to it.
America's #1 certified big man
Yeah,
podcast.
no one's calling Jason Kelsey fat, you pieces of shit.
I
I know
he's
we're
the
not Hall of Famers,
He's the
but
sexiest
We're
man
close.
alive.
yeah, we're this close.
Yeah.
All right, clear eyes.
Full heart.
Can't lose.
Merry Christmas.